Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. I'm so excited, man. It is Thanksgiving football. Is there anything better? I'm telling y'all, this level of excitement is dangerous. I'm so happy. It's one of my favorite times of year. No kidding about that, because Christmas season is starting up. We get 4 games of football on Thursday and Friday. And I got a special edition of Start Sit lineup advice for y'all, Thanksgiving edition. We got 4 games to discuss. I will cover Black Friday as well, and then drop the regular Start Sit for the rest of the week on Saturday, so you guys can get in the goods on all of these teams and players. Let's kick it off rapid fire with these Dallas Cowboys taking on the Washington Commanders. I'll just do this in alphabetical like always. Dak Prescott and these Cowboys coming off a big win versus the Carolina Panthers. Started a little slow. I thought it would have been a little bit better for Dak and company, but, I mean, did they really have to, go balls to the wall for, putting up a lot of point productivity? Likely not. The game was definitely out of hand early on, and they just kept motoring through. This week, they're going up against the Commies defense that does hemorrhage a lot of points. Low-level risk for a Dak Prescott. He's got 8 booms on the season, over 200 points. I foresee a lot of good scoring from these Dallas Cowboys this week, and Dak should be able to feed CeeDee Lamb on the regular. I got Lamb on the stud start this week. He should absolutely carve up this Washington Commanders defense. The good news, Tony Pollard is back to the goods, man. Like I said last week in Start Sit, he should be utilized more in this game, and he did do that. And again, I foresee it happening once again. They got to get this man going. Rico Suave is dealing with an ankle injury. No indication that he is going to sit in this contest, but he is basically game scripted as it is anyway. If the game's out of hand, that's when Rico does get his touches. But Pollard, for me, is a good start this week as well. Should be able to at least garner a touchdown once again in this contest. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb stud start, fire him up everywhere you got him. Brandon Cooks, he's on the mid-level risk. He's doing enough to at least warrant a flex spot for me this week once again. They should at least try the deep shot at least a few times where Michael Gallup is on the high-level risk, but he does seem to play on Thanksgiving. There is some sleeper appeal here. It's just far too risky for me to trust, especially when we're in the point of trying to etch out a playoff spot in fantasy football. I don't know if you could trust a Michael Gallup at this point, so Brandon Cooks in the flex, I don't hate firing him up as well. And Jake Ferguson, he had a bust game this past week. Totally for CTD upside once again coming to this man, as they should be. Points should be flying in this contest because at least the Commies can compete with a lot of teams. It just seems like the Commies' kryptonite right now is the New York Giants. So I think that in this contest, we should see a decent level of points flying off the board. Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers. This is going to be the first contest on Thanksgiving. Jared Goff right now is kind of on the ups and downs for me. I got him on a mid-level risk. I think Green Bay's defense is good enough to at least compete in this contest. Jaire Alexander likely going to suit up in this contest, which is good news for the Packers D. We saw what they were able to do versus the LA Chargers, so I do believe that Jared Goff, and he's not played well the past several weeks. He's thrown 3 interceptions this past week, so I do foresee the Lions getting back on track with Jared Goff in this past game, but it has been all great news for the run game. David Montgomery, Monty, and Gibby. Low-level risk for both these gentlemen. This offense is now moving strictly through the run. Both can be trusted in fantasy football. Low-level risk for both Monty and Gibbs this week once again, with a low-level risk for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like always, PPR upside floor is extremely safe and high for Amon-Ra. He's turning out to be one of the top 5 wide receivers in the entire NFL. This guy is just balling this season, where Jared Goff on the mid-level risk. And mistakes are starting to happen, so there's something happening in this pass game that I want to see ironed out before I trust Jared Goff. You have better options. I would suggest taking it over Goff this week, as Green Bay's defense is still pretty good and good enough to at least make him, stumble at times. But this should be a very good contest. I do foresee the Lions covering the spread. I think it's at 7.5, so I could see that definitely happening because Green Bay is dealing with a plethora of injuries. Jameson Williams, J-Mo on the mid-level risk. They're starting to utilize this man a lot more. He is not startable for me in fantasy football just yet, but we do see the signs trending in the right direction where he could be fantasy viable down the stretch. Maybe in the last 4 contests, we will see how the utilization of J-Mo is going to continue. He's finding ways to get acclimated in this offense. They just got to give him more, and it's just not schemed up properly for him. I just feel like they're not utilizing utilizing him correctly at this point. It will come with time. J-Mo's far too talented to be in the barn and have the shackles on him. So I'm telling y'all, eventually it will come. I'm just not playing him this week. Josh Reynolds, high-level risk. He's not been utilized in this offense for a few weeks now, where Sam Laporta busted last week, has not played well the past two, I believe. So I think it's time that TD upside does come back his way. They should at least explore the opportunity to find him more targets, especially in the red zone this week. Sam Laporta, definitely play him as well. Green Bay Packers, like I said, taking on these Lions. First contest. Jordan Love, feeling the love for Love. Almost 200 points for this man, 20 points away from 200. It's been a good season fantasy-wise. Not necessarily great on the field, 4-6 Green Bay Packers, but Love on the mid-level risk this week. He will see a lot of rush come his way. Hutchinson is a beast of a man, and he will definitely come after a Jordan Love. Biggest problem we got with the Packers is all these injuries. Aaron Jones' knee is doubtful on the MCL, likely 2 to 3 weeks out. Luke Musgrave, he had an abdomen issue where he was in the hospital, released already after surgery, but there is an indication that he may not suit up in this contest, likely on the greater side of not playing, then suiting up. I would say it in that respect, so we would look for Tucker Kraft to take his role. This Wicks kid, man, he's good. I like him. He's a definite, secondary option piece in this offense, but I do like him. Every time the targets go his way, he's just making plays. He's not fantasy viable at this point, but this young, youthful wide receiver room does have a lot of talent. Emmanuel Wilson, supposed to be the backup running back to an A.J. Dillon this week. He's dealing with a shoulder. Jaden Reed, he's got a chest injury. No indication that he's not going to play in this contest. And A.J. Dillon with a groin, fire him up. He's going to be everywhere you got him as well. So Jordan Love on the mid-level risk. I think we could trust him, man. He's giving you a very safe floor. Anywhere from 16 to 22 points is a good floor for a Jordan Love. And in this contest, they're going to have to throw the football a lot. So that's going to come with twofold. It's going to come with potential interceptions, but potential good touchdown upside versus this defense in Detroit that does play very good football. We saw them get exploited last week by Justin Fields. I do foresee that happening once again this week as well. Jordan Love should be able to at least get himself 200 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. You got to believe it's primetime show, man. Packers season on the line. Love's got to have one of his best games of the season. A.J. Dillon's got volume upside. Dealing with an injury, it's a tough play, man. I'm telling y'all, unless you're really dire for running backs, then you fire up an A.J. Dillon. He's been running through mud all season long. Not necessarily trusting it this week. I pray y'all have better options on your team than an A.J. Dillon at this point. There is TD upside for Dillon as well. If they get inside the 5-yard line, you know that they're going to smash mouth that football in. So TD upside, volume upside for A.J. Dillon. Outside of that, I hope you have better options. I would probably take them over Dillon at this point. Patrick Taylor did get the call up from the practice squad as they are dealing with Emmanuel Wilson with the shoulder. He's likely on the wrong side of playing as well. So you got Taylor on the other side, not fantasy viable. Romeo Doubs, Romeo. What I told y'all last week, man, it was TD upside for him. It's TD upside again for him. He's got good skills in this offense where he is being trusted in the red zone. He's being trusted to make the third down conversions. Romeo Doubs has a decent floor. It's not safe at this point, but it is decent for us. Anywhere from 7 to 12 points is good for a flex play for a Romeo Doubs. TD upside once again this week. Jaden Reed on the good upside. He's starting to pick up steam. I liked him going back to the draft process. Told y'all he was going to be the slot machine that is going to be virtually unguardable in this offense once he starts to figure it out, and they're starting to utilize this man on jet sweeps. With no Aaron Jones, I foresee more traction going to Reed as well, where they got to recreate the run with the short pass, with the jet sweeps, and that's Jaden Reed's MO in this offense right now. Very good upside. You can fire up Reed as well if he does suit up in this contest. Christian Watson on the mid-level risk, found his way into the end zone this past week, but it's just not enough utilization for me to feel warm and fuzzy about at this point. I want to see a little bit more. I'm going to keep Watson on my bench this week once again until further notice. And then Tucker Kraft, everybody's dealing with some issues at tight end spot. You got low upside too, low PPR upside for him this week. Not necessarily trusting it, but I would not be shocked if he does score a touchdown because he is, underutilized, and a lot of defenses don't know how he plays football because Luke Musgrave has taken the boatload of the, snap counts at this point. Miami Dolphins on Black Friday. We got 4 games. I told you my level of excitement is not good. My pants are getting wet already, man. Dolphins versus these Jets on Black Friday. First time. Tua Tagovailoa, mid-level risk for me. Even though the Bills exposed this Jets defense this past week, there's likely going to be a little bit of fire under their belly trying to play this contest. No more Zach Wilson. You got Boyle playing. So, This offense with Tua, it's been good, but I mean, against a solid defense, we'll see how they do play. The first time that they've played the Jets this year, they played the Jets twice in, I believe, the span of 4 weeks. So it is going to be very interesting. We'll see how the Jets season does go moving forward. But Tua on the mid-level risk should be safe enough to give you at least the boom upside in this contest. The high-end upside I don't necessarily foresee unless the Jets defense is completely, packed it in after that Bills loss, which I believe there's going to be a sprinkle in this contest of their fire. So I'm going to play it safe and say Tua's on the mid-level risk. You can still fire him up, I do believe. Raheem Mostert on the low-level risk. The Jets, where their inadequacy does rest on this defense, is on the outside runs, and Mostert has speed for days, so they should utilize him a lot. Low-level risk, we could easily see him find his way into the end zone as well in this contest. I'm firing up Raheem Mostert everywhere I got him. Devin off the A-Chain. Man, this sucks. We were waiting off the IR for him to come back and do some damage last week. Did not happen necessarily to the point because they benched him, man, on precautionary reasons, as Coach McDaniel did say. Is he going to suit up in this contest? We don't know just yet, man. They're taking it very slow. They don't want to put him back on IR. They want Devin A-Chain for a long playoff run, so they could play it safe. He's got the injury risk. I will update everybody in the comments on all these players on the injury report as it does come out, but I mean, right now, if Devin does play, I'm going to say we play him. If he doesn't, obviously, we're crap out of luck. So what else can you say in that respect? But the run game should be the MO for the Miami Dolphins in this contest to at least keep the Jets defense honest, where they're going to try to go to Tyreek Hill like they always do every single week. Tyreek is dealing with a hand injury, but he came back in that contest no worse for wear. He said he couldn't just play some PS5. That was his biggest concern. So he's a low-level risk. You fire up Tyreek, obviously, like every other week. Jalen Waddle time on the mid-level risk. His season has been regrettable. I mean, I fully expected him to be over the 150-point threshold at this point, but it just has been a force feeding to a Tyreek Hill at this point. You can't sit Waddle at this point either. So, I mean, at this point, you have to play both Tyreek and Waddle and hope for the best because, I mean, you used high-end draft capital for Waddle, so you likely don't have a better option at the wide receiver spot. Likely your wide receiver 2 at this point. So, mid-level risk, fire him up and hope for the best that he finds his way into the end zone, which is possible because they might direct a lot of coverage to Tyreek Hill, double, triple teams, which could leave Waddle open. So mid-level risk just for, precautionary reasons and playing it safe, but the end zone trip is definitely not out of the question. Berrios and Smythe, we're now playing in fantasy football, like we've said, and also Salvon Ahmed has been placed on the injured reserve, which is good news for Devin A-Chain. So Jeff Wilson may potentially get into the action if A-Chan does sit this week. New York Jets taking on those Dolphins here on Black Friday. Tim Boyle time. There is no more Zach Wilson. Been relegated to the third-string quarterback option now. Boyle's coming in. Okay, high-level risk because we don't know, but, I mean, this kid's got nothing to really lose, so just go out and sling the football, where we had Garrett Wilson go, minus 0.04 points, half PPR last week? Just gross. What do we do? This offense is just sputtering. They cannot score touchdowns. They cannot score points. It is gross. The only upside in this offense right now is a Breece Hall, so potentially they're going to continue to get him involved on the ground game. They said they were going to try to get Dalvin Cook more carries. It has not transpired, even against the Buffalo Bills. Did not do nothing. So at this point, Boyle's high-level risk. You're not touching it. Breece on the low level. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Keep Dalvin on the waiver wire at this point. Garrett Wilson does have low upside because we just don't know how Boyle's going to perform in this contest. So, I mean, there is ability that you could play him. I just think I'm going to sit Garrett Wilson this week and play it safe because it just hasn't been good, and he's been crippling your fantasy football team even when he does get into the end zone or find ways to catch passes. Just has not been good. High-level risk for a Lazard Gibson. You're not touching that. And Tyler Conklin may get the PPR upside because Boyle will look to a safety blanket of sorts trying to get it. So, I mean, what's your top-end productivity for Conklin anyway? 4 catches, 35 yards. That's basically all you're getting unless he finds his way into the end zone, which has not happened this season. New York Jets, it's going to be a tough day for y'all versus Miami Dolphins. San Francisco 49ers on the game 3 taking on the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers came off a good showing this past week where the Hawks, sputtered and fell. Brock Purdy, man, he's been killing it once again. I mean, the best quarterback in QB rating at this point. They are a well-oiled machine, getting healthy at the right time of the season. Low-level risk, fire up Purdy everywhere you got him. 7 boom games for this man, almost 200 points for Mr. Irrelevant. Unbelievable transformation for a Brock Purdy. He looks like Joe Montana in this offense. Christian McCaffrey, CMC, Stud start of the week as well. He should absolutely carve up the Seattle Seahawks defense right now. Even though the Hawks defense is good and they will compete, it's CMC, man. You place any of those bets for anytime touchdowns for CMC, place that bet this week again because he's finding his way anytime into that end zone, man. Eli Mitchell, high-level risk, even though we did see some sprinkles of touches this past week. Get him on your roster on the, at least bench stash just in case CMC does drop with an injury. Not trying to put out that bad mojo, but it is possible that does happen. So Eli on the high-level risk. Debo, good upside this week. He wasn't necessarily utilized. Didn't really need him this past week as they were carving up the defense. Seattle's defense is better on the secondary, as we should see a lot of with a spoon on an Ayuk. So I do think it is Debo Samuel this week with the good upside, lots of rushing upside, potential touchdown coming for Debo, where Ayuk might see a lot of shadow coverage from the spoon. And for me, I'm going to hedge my bets. You still play Ayuk this week, but I'm going to put him on a mid-level risk as well. Jennings, you're not touching, and George Kittle continues to be a very good piece in this offense as Brock Purdy has been finding him on the regular. You fire up George Kittle everywhere you got him as well. Seattle Seahawks taking on those 49ers, like I'm saying. Geno! This is a big contest for these Seattle Seahawks as they dropped one, man. Geno did enough to get him into field goal range, and they missed a field goal, losing to the Rams. Huge divisional loss. Mid-level risk against his great defense. Geno's playing injured with the elbow injury, shoulder injury. It's going to be tough sledding, man. They're going to come at him with a bum rush, and you got to pray that Seahawks offensive line is going to give him the goods. Mid-level risk, I would caution the play of a Geno this week. He should be able to at least give you decent points, maybe 14 to 16. But I'm looking in other directions than Geno Smith this week. Zach Charbonnet. Okay, I got him at the starter because Kenny's dealing with an oblique injury. He's on the wrong side of it. He's listed as questionable right now, but I would say it's more of a doubtful than him playing this week. It is a big crippler, but like I told y'all, you got it. You had to have stashed Zach Charbonnet if you were a Kenneth Walker owner. Now we got volume upside for Charbonnet. He is a quality running back, but he's got a very tough task versus 49ers front seven that is very powerful and will stifle the run. So only volume upside for me. You're likely got no other options than Zach Charbonnet. And I mean, okay, if you have to play him, you got to play him. In one league, I got to play Charbonnet this week. So it is volume upside for us as well, but play with caution. DJ Dallas, and it's going to be Kenny McIntosh likely suiting up in this contest as well. So it's change of pace running back. We will see Dallas low upside. McIntosh, if he does get on the field, he does pose some PPR upside. DK Metcalf on the low-level risk. Tyler Lockett injury, low-level risk for me. Lockett played last week, so I'm firing up both DK and Tyler Lockett as the 49ers do give up a heaping of points to the wide receivers, which is good news. That is positive news for these wide receivers. They did lose Hufanga. Those 49ers did to an ACL injury, so there's lesser coverage on the back end at this point. Low-level risk for both Metcalf and Lockett. You can fire them up. Low upside for Jackson Smith-Njigba. I was wrong this past week. I thought he would have been the guy that they would target a lot over the middle. Did not happen. He only got you 6 points. Half PPR was a bust for us this past week. I'm going to say low upside once again. I mean, if they're going to try to recreate the run with a JSN, maybe it does come to pass, but I don't like it this week as well. Low upside, find other options in JSN, and then high-level risk for Noah Fant continues this season. Last one I got is the Washington Commanders, the Commies, taking on those Cowboys. Like I said, man, the kryptonite for these commies this season is the New York Giants. Outside of that, they're competing with everybody. Don't understand what the Giants have. They must be in the huddle for these commies. With Sam Howell, mid-level risk this week, only due to the Dallas Cowboys pass rush that will give him fits. He's been one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL this season. You can still likely play a Sam Howell this week if you have been streaming quarterbacks. And Sam Howell is one of them for you. 212 points, man. This guy's he's going to sling it, man. He's a gunslinger. He's going to continue to sling the football. He could get a lot of garbage time productivity this week. I'm still okay with the start, but mid-level risk just because the Dallas defense will come with the heat on him, man. Brian Robinson, low-level risk, 7 boom games. He's going to continue to be the bell cow back. They're going to continue to force feed him, and he does pose PPR upside. There is a potential touchdown coming and looming for a Brian Robinson. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Antonio Gibson, the other Gibby, he's dealing with a toe injury, is questionable. Injury risk for me. I'm looking in other directions, not playing that. Low-level risk for a scary Terry McLaurin. He always plays these Cowboys extremely well, and on Thanksgiving does extremely well. Fire up Terry everywhere you got him. Low upside in the red for a Jahan Dotson. At this point, there's just not enough target share to trust in fantasy football. He's saving his days with touchdowns in the end of contests, but there's just not enough upside. PPR upside on the mid-level risk for a Curtis Samuel. I mean, you want to trust it. You want to be able to believe that Sam Howell's going to spread it around to at least one of these wide receivers. At this point, we got to trust Curtis over Jahan, but I could have it flipped this way as well this week where Jahan has the better day. It's just very volatile because Sam Howell spreads the ball to everybody on this offense, and there is no rhyme or reason for consistency for these wide receivers. Where Logan Thomas, he's not been playing well the past several weeks because of target share not going to his direction, but he does pose TD upside this week once again on Thanksgiving versus these Dallas Cowboys because he does have it. So Logan Thomas is a potential start for me if you don't have a better spot at the tight end. But there you have it. That is Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Like I'm saying, I love it. Drop your start sit questions in the comments. I'll definitely get back to y'all. I will update you on injuries as they come out in the comments as well. And I'll have Boomer Bust on Friday and then start sit on Saturday for y'all. So for the rest of the contest, stay tuned for that. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and allow me to be the first to say happy Thanksgiving to all. Enjoy your families, enjoy the time, and enjoy football. We'll see you next time. I am out.